Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Institute for Australian Asian Arts and Culture IAC at Western Sydney University. I'm Professor Jing Han, I'm the Director of the Institute. Before we start, I would like to acknowledge we are the land of the biological people of Darug Nation and acknowledge their ancestors who have been traditional owners for tens of thousands of years. I also acknowledge and pay my respect to First Nations elders, past and present. Welcome to the opening of Notations Red Scale, the first institutional solo exhibition by acclaimed artist Rainbow Chen Zhenjiang, and IAC's major exhibition of the year, supported by the IAC GW. You may have had a chance to look at the exhibition, just so unique, vibrant, exciting, inspiring, and inviting. We are so proud to present this exhibition, and it has attracted so much attention already from students and staff since we installed yesterday. I would also like to acknowledge the attendance of so many distinguished guests today. So big surprises from Professor Nicholas Jones and Professor Claire Roberts. So delighted to see you. And I would like to acknowledge Professor Jocelyn Che, our founding director and adjunct professor, and also the chair of Che Foundation. And legendary Albert Shua, so good to see you. Also, Intel, so good to see you. And many artists we have today. Rosemary just left announcing we exhibited before, and Dr. Wang Ling, who is our curatorial advisor, is also here, and also the other day he came to install the exhibition, and President of the Taxa. All the important people here. So delighted. Okay, so thank you all for your support and attendance. Now let me introduce our opening speaker, Dr. Natalie Seeds. Natalie is the curator of Asian art at the Art Gallery of New South Wales. She gained her PhD in art history and film studies from the University of Sydney in 2013, focusing on the emergence of contemporary women artists in Taiwan from the 1970s to 2000s. Natalie has curated many significant and diverse range of exhibitions, with the more recent ones focused on including fearless contemporary South Asian art, In One Drop of Water, and Uproar, one of the opening exhibitions in the Sydney Modern Museum. And her upcoming exhibition, called And Still Our Rise, will be open on 8th November 2025. Dr. Natalie Seeds has published widely, including contributions to scholarly anthologies and exhibition catalogues. She is highly acclaimed for her curatorial and research contributions in the field of Asian contemporary art. She explores issues of gender, cultural exchange, identity, cross-regional dialogues, and diaspora in contemporary Asian art, hoping to position Asian artists within broader global art narratives. Through exhibitions, publications, and public programming, her work has amplified the visibility of contemporary Asian artists, often highlighting voices that intersect with migration, gender, and modernity. It is our great honor and privilege to have Natalie to give the opening speech. Please welcome Dr. Natalie Seeds.
Welcome everyone. I'm really so honoured to open Rainbow Chan's first solo institutional exhibition, Rainbow Chan, Notations Red Scale. Although Rainbow has been a superstar in the music world, which I have to admit I did not know when I first met her. I have come to know Rainbow through her visual arts practice over a number of years. I first came across Rainbow's work in an exhibition in 2020 called Daughters of the Dragon, held at Lane Cove Art Gallery, just before the COVID pandemic, where I saw a beautiful work she had produced called Triumph, a three-part installation incorporating a combination of folk music, video, text, painting and calligraphy that commented on the disappearing Waitol culture of Hong Kong in the contemporary world. On that occasion, I learnt about Chun Yin Rainbow Chan, who had immigrated to Australia as a young child of 6 years old with her parents from Hong Kong. That day, I also learnt about my own heritage, the Hong Kong of my own mother, and the people that lived there. Her work opened my eyes to a history I had no idea about, which fascinated me, which made me ashamed of my ignorance, yet which I will always be thankful to Rainbow for introducing me to. I keep following her practice, not only to experience her thoughtful work, but also to learn more about my own cultural background and history. In her work, Rainbow examines her matrilineal ancestral relationship with Waitol culture of Hong Kong through women's oral history, folk songs and language. Spoken by her mother and grandmother, the generations before her, we watch a language passed on through word of mouth, on the verge of extinction, as there are only about 18,000 speakers of the Waitol dialect left worldwide. In this exhibition, Notations Red Scale, Rainbow continues her observation and exploration of Waitol culture, drawing from the bridal lament, a theme that permeates much of her work. The lyrics of the lament were sung by would-be brides, which involved singing and weeping for 3 days before moving to the groom's family home. Contained in the lyrics are ideas of loss, rebirth and matrilineal knowledge, the grief associated with leaving one's home and entering that of a stranger. These were songs that Rainbow initially learnt with the help of her mother as translator and female Waitol elders in the New Territories on a research trip she had done in 2018. Much of her newly gained knowledge was used in Rainbow's groundbreaking one-woman performance, The Bridal Lament, an impressive reimagining of Waitol wedding rituals presented around Australia in 2023 and hopefully soon internationally. She has examined her own connection-disconnection to the Hong Kong diaspora in the Australian context, and by so doing has brought to our attention the importance of what we can learn from this living culture. In this exhibition, Rainbow has extended her visual practice by experimenting with the medium she uses. Perforation is something that is new in Rainbow's work. As she says, and I quote, she plays with absence and presence through perforation, dancing in and out of existence. Using fragile materials that she challenges, for example, by burning or singeing words on paper or silk, then extinguishing them before they are spent. She emulates the experience of grief in the loss of language that is almost disappearing. This notion is further developed in the twin melody for a music box, Flowers. Holes are punched into Schwan paper in which a music box that is manually hand-cranked transforms into a melody with an unexpected sound pattern, creating a convergence of seeing, hearing and performing. This is her literal melding of music and art, the practice that Rainbow has been following as an interdisciplinary artist. I once asked Rainbow, how does she see herself as an artist and the work she produces? The world often divides artists into an either-or. You are either a visual artist or you are a performer and a musician on stage. But why can't there be a position where a division or boundary is not so black and white? Rainbow is the talented artist she wants to be on her terms. Her work does not need to be defined by boundaries, as it is her expression through music which enhances her visual work and vice versa. Her creativity encompasses both areas, and it is our privilege to be able to experience Rainbow's work with our multiple senses. So, as a final note, I'm happy to say that Rainbow's work, Fruit Song, will be, which is in the collection of the Art Gallery of New South Wales, will be shown amongst works by 20 diverse women artists living in Australia in the exhibition And Still I Rise, which will open at the Art Gallery of New South Wales on the 8th of December. I hope you'll be able to see that. So at this point, I'd like to say congratulations, Rainbow and Jin Hung, for presenting this wonderful exhibition of new works, which I know you will all enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you so much for such an illuminating speech about Rainbow's work. And, he's the right person to open this exhibition. When Rainbow accepted our invitation to stage her first institutional solo exhibition at RIC, I requested that she include live performance at the opening as integral part of the exhibition, but also as a presentation or a demonstration of her interdisciplinary talent. So I'm so grateful. She said yes. And also today we are thrilled to have Chen Mengjia to perform together with Rainbow. Chen Men is an accomplished guzheng player and music therapy student at Western Sydney University, bringing unique interdisciplinary perspective to traditional Chinese music. Chen Men began to play guzheng at the age of 5, and she has a bachelor degree in traditional Chinese medicine. For her postgraduate research in music therapy, she develops clinical applications for guzheng improvisation, and Chen Men is supported and guided by her supervisor, Dr. Oliver O'Reilly. So thank you so much, Oliver. This marks Rainbow's first collaboration with the guzheng family. So please welcome Rainbow Chen and Chen Men for the live performance. It's really amazing, beautiful, and then they improvised, like not that it's pre-recorded or pre-prepared. It's so beautiful. I had heard of the Rainbow Chan and been to her concerts and seen her art exhibitions long before I actually met her in person. And this one night at the end of a William Young's event, and I grabbed someone to take a photo of me with William. Then I realized that someone was Rainbow. And she had this heartwarming smile. It has been a pure pleasure working for and with Rainbow for this exhibition. And she's such a natural and talented artist. I hope our Q&A will help us know more about Rainbow. So please welcome Rainbow to the Orange Chair.
Okay, I will start with the first few quick questions. Were you born musical and creative?
So according to my mum, my first words were not mum and dad, but the lyrics to a Cantonese pop song. So I think yes. I loved dancing, singing, drawing. I used to make my family watch me perform in the lounge room. I would rope my younger sister Rose, who's also in the audience tonight, to be the dancer in the things I'd create. And so always very drawn to creative endeavours as a kid.
That explains. What was the first music instrument you learned to play?
So I officially started learning saxophone when I was 9, but before that, so I come from a family of 4 girls. I'm number 3. So my older 2 sisters played piano, and so that was always at home, a part of the fabric at home, and I was very curious about what they would do, piano lessons. So I guess my first instrument really was learning how to teach myself little tunes on piano, but I fell in love with the saxophone, and then I also loved singing, so that was my next real, instrument. I started writing songs, and then from there it's just like picked up lots of different things.
What did you want to be? Before I ask this question, I actually want to mention my daughter. When she was little, before probably primary school, grade 1, we asked her, what would you like to be when you grow up? She said, school teacher or prime minister. As if the two connected very much. So my question is, what did you want to be when you were a school kid?
Yes, I remember my list was like way bigger than everyone else's. And it's still sort of how I operate today. Singer, author, dancer, and I wanted to be a play school host. So I love play school. If you work for play school, you can book me. I would love to be on Play School.
You are most often what you want to be. My daughter is not yet. So what were your parents' expectations of you growing up?
Yeah, my parents, who are also in the crowd tonight, they were very encouraging, which was really lovely. It's also because I have an older sister who got a real job, so I could... So all the younger sisters could pursue... Mum and Dad always loved music, so they could see how passionate I was about performance and art, and so they just loved that I had something I was so into, and so they were very encouraging, much to, a lot of the stereotype of Asian parents not necessarily being that supportive of creative endeavours, but yeah, they love it. Yeah,
that's a very good example, and they didn't pressure you to be an accountant.
No, yeah, but my sister. Unfortunately for my older sister, that was not the case, though. She took one for the team.
You were established as a musician, a vocalist, before you were widely known as a visual artist as well. How did you decide to become a visual artist, or was it ever a conscious decision?
It was, growing up, as Natalie was saying earlier, the kind of division of artist, musician, For me, it was always both. I just gravitated towards both. I studied music at uni and then decided to pursue art later on because it was actually a way for me to unpack a lot of things I was experiencing in the music industry, namely sexism and racism. I thought, I just wanted to sing pop songs. I didn't expect to be challenged in these ways of being a woman, making electronic music, sort of undermined all the time. And so art became this strategy to unpack some of those tensions which you can't necessarily address in a pop song, So then it became just something that seemed to go hand in hand with my music, and it sort of feeds back into each other. So I see them as very much like intersecting, and they work together.
And on that, can you elaborate more how these two types of art forms influence each other in your practice?
Yes. Currently, I think I've finally found a language or the balance where music and image really speak to each other. So often, the way I explain it is I often sing the image, or I visualize the sound. It's almost like a synesthesia, but not quite. So the way I see the world is I might look at an image and I can feel the texture. It's this kind of weird way of thinking. So, but more concretely with these works, they are transcribing laments through the writing, but also through embodying the songs. So when I sing the songs, I very much also think about the movement and the wailing or the dancing for the stage show that I've created, and how can I then imagine those movements with the brush? How can I imagine those movements with incense sticks, which have been used to perforate the surfaces? And then in terms of the sound, I guess someone said to me that they really feel a sense of rhythm in the works I make, whether it doesn't have to be fast-paced, but even there's like a drone to some of the slower works. And that kind of felt completely right for me. Yeah, there's this inherent sense of rhythm in the works I make, I think. And so, yeah, it just sort of makes sense for me.
Oh, make perfect sense when we think of the art in the gallery. It's just perfect, making perfect sense. I also want to ask you, because you know, in the exhibition, you really combined the visual and music so beautifully. Do you think there are advantages for being a visual artist and a musician? For example, do you ever suffer creative block? Because if you can't get through musically, you can say, all right, I'll think of a visual. So have you ever suffered creative block?
Well, it's shocking when you try and do both things and they're both creative block at the same time. And you're like, oh, well. Yeah, in a way, I feel quite lucky and blessed that I have, like a gift or passion or whatever you want to say, abilities in both, and training, like, practice, discipline. So having both avenues is really great because you can, I guess, okay, if I were to boil it down, I feel like growing up between cultures, as someone who's migrated here, you're always seeing the world through multiple lenses. You don't take things for granted because you are not the default. The world sort of doesn't exist for you as the default state. So you're always sort of looking at this very multivocal way of existing. And so for me, the methodology and the forms of using art and music is a reflection of that experience as a person. If I can't sing it, how can I draw it? If I can't draw it, how can I dance it? I don't know, it's just so many, it just seems so natural to me. They're just like different arms of my octopus body, so.
8 arms, yes, definitely. For the creation of this exhibition, you have continued, which in your performance as well, draw on this Waito tradition of a bridal lament. And you started, as Natalie mentioned, the creation of a bridal lament as one woman performance around 2018. And you went back to Hong Kong to research and gathering oral histories, doing field work and composing. When did you become interested in knowing and exploring your ancestral cultural heritage?
It was a moment when I realized that if, my mum's mother tongue, if I didn't try and learn it, and my generation, even her generation, was discouraged to speak it. So within, very short time, these languages can just disappear. So I guess I felt an urgency to just connect with that part of my life and with my mum's life, really. And I really didn't expect to have this abundance, this awakening of art and music. I really was just thinking she's going to teach me a few phrases about how I can order that meal over there, But then she was the one who said, actually, my mum, her mum, my grandma, used to sing these songs when we were kids. And in fact, all the women did. And you're a musician, so if you go back to Hong Kong to this village, who were just so happened to also be archiving a lot of songs from elderly women. You could learn about the language, about the cultural values through the music, and then upon reconnecting with these, I call them paw, like elderly grannies, it was just like this reawakening that in fact all these elements that I had learned, I could reteach to my mum because she didn't know the songs herself, So it's very intergenerational. It feels like when I sing these songs, it really feels like I'm resonating physically and spiritually with all the women who sang the songs before me. And so it's just also come at a time in my music career mostly where I felt very uninspired and very jaded and very much thinking about the commercialization of everything. But this was returning me to my roots. This felt very grounded and it felt much bigger than myself. So it was, just the perfect thing that kind of arrived in my life, and I was very lucky to inherit.
Yeah, you seized it so well because you transformed this cultural tradition form into contemporary art form. Now watch the bridal laments twice, and then it's really beautiful. why is it so, yeah, so we mentioned this, why it's so important. Now, my next question, yes, you are one of the, now you can see, one of the most natural artists. You are naturally talented as well, I've ever met. And I feel working with her, and you have the eye, the ear, and the mind that can turn seemingly random things into art. It's incredible. She sees something, she said, we can do this with this. It's just incredible. How, can you tell us how your creative mind works?
Well, that's very kind of you. I think it's about being curious about everything, that there is potential in anything and anyone to be creative. For example, an example was when we were installing, there was this beautiful soundscape that appeared in the building, and it was like trickling rain, and I was like, wow, this feels like an immersive installation that works perfectly with all the water elements in this work. And she's like, I'm pretty sure that's the plumbing, and someone's flushed the toilet upstairs. And I was like, yeah. She was like, it's a disturbing sound. And I was like, it's beautiful, let's include it in the work. And so I think that sort of sense of curiosity, of being okay with imperfections, and in fact imperfections teach you more about a work, I think. Like, for example, a lot of the works, because I'm working with fire and incense, the marks I make, sometimes they might, if the wind changes a little bit, the fire might get bigger, or there's a sense of accepting that you can't control everything. And in fact, where those moments, those accidental moments of, whatever happened, it's actually more interesting than trying to control every single element. And so I think I had to learn that as well. I came from a classical music background, which was very much like play all the right notes on the page. And so that was a lot of pressure, a lot of stress. And when I realized you could let go of that and actually let things just naturally arise, and you are kind of arranging and curating instead, then things just flow.
You do see through Rainbow and her works the beauty of art, and then the creative healing of art. It just calms you down so instantly and enjoy. It's so beautiful. Do you see, follow on your answer, your artwork, perhaps same thing applies to your music, don't seem to end, but keep reforming and forming. Like the artworks here in exhibition, you can really go anywhere, any further with any part of the art, which is kind of give an open ending. Is that because you see the world as ever-flowing river, or a space that keeps reforming, with every piece having its place?
Yeah, that's such a beautiful way of putting it. Yes, I do think like it's an ever-flowing river that we are just visitors in at one point. The world is going to be so much bigger than ourselves, one individual life. And so I think the open-endedness to my works is really, I don't know, maybe it comes back down to that like letting go of the ego a little bit, and allowing art to be accessible to people from all different walks of life who, art can be such an elitist thing. And I remember always thinking that I want to be able to make something that, my grandmother in a village could look at and appreciate for some reason. At least one layer be accessible to someone who might not come from that background. And so I think I gravitate towards people who make works that are very generous and open-ended and multi-layered, and not trying to tell just the one story, and it allows people to see themselves in the works, like sort of a mirror. I think that's why.
Your art is very unique and distinctively rainbow art and rainbow style. Which artists have mostly influenced you?
Quite a lot. I mean, I feel like there's so many I would I mean, Dr. Guan Wei, very, I feel like there's such a big lineage of Chinese, Hong Kongese, East Asia, artists that kind of work in this sort of diaspora sense. And it's not necessarily one individual one, but I think maybe the themes of the movement in general and this sort of people who have paved the way before that is looking at hybridity, ways to take traditional motifs but inject a Western style to deconstruct this idea of binary. It's not East and West, so black and white, but it's like, where does it kind of intersect? So I think, I'm much more influenced by like bigger concepts, by movements, than necessarily one particular artist.
Do you see yourself as a feminist?
I had 3 sisters growing up, so of course of course. That's also a loaded word, and I mean, it's almost like, well, who isn't a feminist in a way? I think, yes, I'm a feminist. The works I make are trying to platform marginalized voices, and I think it's also not only just feminism but intersections, so it's not just looking at women, but how does class and race play into that. So I try to make works that reflect an alternate non-normative reality, basically, as best as I can anyway.
My last question, what matters to you the most as an artist and musician?
Not taking myself too seriously, I think is a great way to exist. And I think, just being grateful for things, I think when you are generous and grateful for things that happen, you sort of plant more seeds for more and more things to come, and you create a little community of people, ecosystems that continue to lift each other up. So I think community is very important, giving back what you can, helping when you can. Because no one exists in a vacuum. So thank you all for being here tonight and supporting the work and watching the performance, and thank you, Jing, for putting the show, and Lindsay, everyone who was involved in putting the show together, and Natalie for speech. So thank you.
I like you saying don't take yourself seriously, because that's very much Chinese. We have a proverb, but don't take yourself as a shallot. 别把自己当根葱. It's like, don't take yourself seriously. Last thing, would you like to say something to your parents?
Oh, Mommy, Daddy, 多謝晒, okay? My parents are in the back. I love you, so thank you.
So great.
Okay, now it's time to introduce our closing remarks speaker. Such an honor to have Professor Saba Babawi, the Dean of the School of Humanities and Communication Arts at Western Sydney University, to come to do this last speech. Saba is a leading scholar in journalism and media studies, with research spanning media power, global news, and investigative journalism in authoritarian contexts. Her work particularly examines the role of the media in fostering accountability, transparency, and democracy. Alongside her academic research, Professor Babawi has been a chief investigator on multiple Australian Research Council ARC projects, exploring subjects such as media literacy, disinformation, and the impact of digital technologies on journalism. She is also engaged in creative practice research, including documentary projects that address social justice issues. She provides at Western Sydney University and our school academic leadership in humanities, communication, and creative industries, fostering collaboration between research, teaching, and community engagement. Please welcome Professor Saba Babawi to give closing remarks.
Thank you, Jean. That's very kind. Wow, what a performance. Just incredible. Well done. Congratulations. As a musician myself, I admire anyone who can improvise. So that was amazing and breathtaking. And it is a sheer joy also to see this beautiful exhibition by Rainbow Chan, a multi-talented artist and musician. And I also congratulate Jing and IAC for producing and presenting yet another vibrant and distinctive exhibition which entwines visual art, music, and performance, and brings ancient Chinese tradition into contemporary art scene of Australia, which I think is incredibly important. And such a beautiful binary, as you mentioned, which is just wonderful to hear. It's interconnecting histories and diasporic heritage. And I particularly congratulate Rainbow for her amazing artworks and creativity. It took me to another space after quite a long, difficult day. So thank you for that. For me, as the Dean of Humanities and Communication Arts, I'm most pleased to see our music therapy student and accomplished musician, Qingmei Zheng, having this great opportunity to collaborate with Rainbow in an improvised performance. And improvisation is one of the key components of music therapy degree study. And it's wonderful to provide students actual learning experiences supported by their supervisors like Dr. Oliver O'Reilly and mentored by artist Rainbow. Music therapy, which I'm incredibly proud of at Western Sydney University, is an evidence-based allied health profession in which music is used to support people of all ages and life stages within the domains of cognition, communication, movement, social engagement, and emotional well-being. The music therapy at Western Centre provides individuals and small groups with music therapy services to support people of all ages and all stages to the needs and goals of the client. And music therapy services are provided at our Master of Creative Music Therapy postgraduate students like Chenming. And we probably shouldn't be saying this, but are looking at expanding it to an undergrad degree to kind of allow as these students to transition through the phases from undergrad to postgrad. We are proud of it. I am proud of it. We are keen that, as you have seen, they're not only skilled musicians, which in itself is incredibly hard, but they are developing skills and understanding the effects of music experiences and how music can affect behaviors, feelings, thoughts, and actions. And at Western Sydney University, we're committed to providing accessible, sustainable, and best education in the region. And I'm not only saying that, we genuinely are. And we're very lucky to work within and serve the Western Sydney community, one that I'm, again, particularly proud of, especially in engaging, as Jing's work shows, in multilingual and multicultural communities in the region. And it's wonderful to have Rainbow's exhibition on campus, which engages centuries of old Chinese cultures in an Australian context and will no doubt inspire our students and staff who will walk down this corridor and see something refreshing and different. And that's the power of art and creativity. So I congratulate Rainbow Chan and IAC, Jing, again for this beautiful exhibition, and Qingmei Zheng and her supervisor, Dr. Oliver O'Reilly, for the great performance. And thank you for our distinguished guests. Thank you for joining us this evening and for all your support to art and to Western Sydney University. I wish the exhibition a great success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sabo. As you can see, when you have a musician as the boss, Everything is different. Yeah, it's wonderful. It's really good. I would like to thank again Dr. Necklaces for the opening speech. It's beautiful. I know how busy you have been. And Chen Mengjiang and Oli for the great performance with Rainbow and for the tech and AV support. When they were discussing this complex setting, I couldn't understand a word. And Professor Saga Bawawi for the wonderful speech and for the support. And I also must thank my one and only, both literally and figuratively, Assistant Lindsay Liu, for being so diligent, responsible, and capable. Thanks for our IT technician Diego and his vital, and our volunteers, Cai Jingyi and Yin Liu. And thank you all for your valuable support. Such a surprising, wonderful, distinguished guests, and all of you for your support. Lastly, I must also thank Rainbow for creating beautiful art. That's the whole point we are here. Lastly, I'm pleased to announce, as though it's up to me, that the Mid-Autumn Moon Festival is coming on 6th of October. So we have ordered mooncakes, which is up to us. So please enjoy mooncakes, drinks, and light refreshments and mingling. Have a good evening. Thank you again.